Hey guys, welcome back to some more F1 Esports Challengers Series gameplay here today, and this is race number 2 of the most recent event in the series. If you missed the first episode guys, the previous round at Silverstone, then go check it out. I'll leave a link up in the top right hand corner of your screen. But again, if you don't know, we are in the F1 Esports Challenger Series. I was drafted in on this day as a very last minute replacement, so I was quite under practiced, and therefore, you know, I was going to try and do my best, but realistically I was quite off the pace. If you guys are going to enjoy the video, as always, like and subscribe, and let's jump into it. So unlike the previous race, which was a short qualifying, this one is a one-shot qualifying around Spa, so one lap or nothing, which is even harder. I've done about 3 laps of practice before that, literally that's about it, and we're going to jump in and see what happens. I had done a league race about 4 or 5 days before this around here, so I was slightly more up on the pace compared to Silverstone, so I was expecting things to be better here. Also bearing in mind, in the previous race I learned a lot of things. You know, the fact that it was a 25% race means that you've got a lot less time, you take on a lot less fuel, and hopefully I'll carry over a lot of those tips from the previous race into this one. Anyway, in the background I've currently been doing my lap, and to be fair, it's been a pretty scruffy one, as you'd expect realistically. You know, hopping in straight after a Silverstone race this was, you know, just throwing the car around. It's the same for everybody, so that's kind of the opportunity we have. But I made a mistake here at turn 9 and invalidated, which was a bit of a shame. You can see I do the Toto Wolff desk smash in frustration, and I wanted to push on anyway, finish the lap just to see what the lap time would have been. The lap in itself was very scruffy, 141.1, and that lap would have given us P8, so possibly P7 actually. So a bit of a shame. Could have, you know, started P7 in Spa, and that would have been pretty decent. And to be fair, that was a scruffy lap. I do believe there was pace for a top 5 in there quite easily. But anyway, yeah, that is it. You can see the full grid on screen right now. I believe on pole, actually I'm not sure who's on pole because I've cut it off, so my bad, but hopefully we'll see that in the race. I think it is Alessio Di Capua on pole position if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, there's your grid. We're now going to move into the race though, and we're going to see what we can do from P14 on the grid, and hopefully we can pull something out of the bag. Now for the race, as you can see, I've paused it here before the start because we have rain in the second half of the race. Bearing in mind this is a 25% race, this could be pretty close, you know, in terms of what we do for strategy. You know, whether you commit to a dry tire strategy, whether you pit for inters, whether you start in softs, whether you start in mediums. There's a lot of variables. Worth noting also, Balázs Kevin is not racing in this one, as he did race in race 1 because I believe his wheel broke. So bear that in mind. And for this race, we're also going to underfuel by quite a bit. But with that said, we now move into the start of the race. The 5 lights are on, and let's see if we can get a good start here on the medium tyres as we're underway for the second race of the day at the Belgian Grand Prix. It's not the best launch off the line, I have to say. Down towards turn 1 though, we're going to try and be a little bit cautious as we go to the inside. There's a bit of contact there. Martin Stefanko in the racing point, as we then get pushed all the way across to the right there by CIG Atta. Not quite sure what happened there, but I had to completely back out of it, otherwise I was getting shoved into the wall even though I was completely alongside, and we dropped down to P13. But so far so good. We've gained 1 place as we're now in the Camel Straight. A bit of desync there with Julian Naumann, or Shazoo Julian, as now Iker Baena tries to make a move on us here in the Red Bull. We're going to do a good job of holding on the defensive here as we go through Lake Com and then getting the inside line through Malmedy, and we're going to just about stay in front. A little bit of contact there. Iker tries to re-challenge though down towards turn 8, but again this corner it's quite tricky to pass. There's a lot of understeer, so we're going to use the inside line here for the advantage and reclaim that P13. And we're now tucked in behind Ruben Vallejo, so we're currently between 2 Spaniards, both of them in the Red Bull. And he's on soft tyres, to be fair, so it's going to be a bit tricky to pass him as he runs off track and picks up a warning for track limits already. You can see already I'm asking on the radio when this rain's going to arrive, and apparently it's about 10 minutes away. So this is going to be really tight in terms of when it arrives. It could be right on the last lap, so we need to make sure we stay in the race at all costs and keep our strategy options open. And the medium tyre was the best option for that because the softs might not make it all the way as we get our first warning for track limits. I was kind of distracted. I was looking at my ERS and kind of just drove off the track, to be fair. Nonetheless, lap 1 is done, where we've gained 1 place for P13, And now the important thing really is to try and stay with the pack. We've got a bit of battling up ahead. The top 10, of course, on the soft tyres. And actually, end of lap 1, Jan Fehler in the Alpha is going to pit. So we're going to move up to P12. He abandons and gets off those soft tyres. And he's going to switch to the medium. So he's hoping the rain does not arrive. Meanwhile, we're challenging Ruben Vallejo here into turn 1 for P11 in the Red Bull. He does a good job, though, of defending the inside line. And I'm going to have to just sit behind for now. One thing I struggled with around here in my PSGL League race a few days before was the fact I overheated my engine all the time. And to be fair, it was something that also I struggled with in this race as well. I only recently got on top of it in a career mode race that I recorded this morning. So lessons learned, let's say. It took me a long time to get there, but I finally understood how it works. And yeah, in this race, you're going to see me struggle a bit with engine temps once again, just like in PSGL a few days ago. But nonetheless, you can see here I'm trying to pull out the slipstream, trying to keep the temperature down, but I just can't get close enough. It doesn't help that Vallejo is on soft tyres as well. Obviously, he's going to get much better traction out of corners, and it's just generally harder for me to get close to him. But nonetheless, we're going to keep our head down, keep pushing, and you never know. Things might go our way. End of lap 3 though, and we've got another car in the pit lane. That is going to be, I think, that's Pablo Joglar in the Alpha Tauri. So he's going to box and do the same strategy as Jan Fehler, so soft to medium, as we set a personal best. We're now P11, and we're looking pretty decent here. You know, we've got tyres, so we can go to the end if we wanted to. Obviously, we're not allowed because of the 2-tyre rule. We have to change at some point. And still no sign of the rain. There's still, you know, pretty sunny, pretty, you know, light. But then lap 5, it started to get a bit cloudy. You can see Vallejo has overtaken Julian. So we've now got ourselves behind the Williams, and Julian makes a bit of a mistake here. I'm going to try and go down the inside, a slight bit of contact with him as we try to go for a cheeky little overtake there, but he holds on and defends for now. We're not going to challenge him to P1. It's kind of ridiculous, really, a bit of a pointless overtake, and we'll both lose a lot of time. So I'm just going to slot in again behind and just be patient, really. I've raced Julian before. I'm familiar with him, Julian Naumann. I believe very young Dutchman, I think 15 or 16 years old. I raced with him in AOR F3 on F1 2018, I believe. So I've got some history with him. He's a really, really fast driver, quite aggressive as well. So it's going to be hard to get past. So as you can see now, it's getting pretty dark. Lap 5 now, the clouds are really forming all of a sudden. And at this point, you're just constantly looking at the sky, you know, asking for the weather forecast. And you can see me there. I select the intermediates. My gut feeling is we are going to have to go into the inters rather than go into softs. But here we go. I'm going to try and challenge Julian here into the bus stop chicane. We're going to go to the inside. Super late lunge on the brakes as we go side by side. And I get the move done just about. We are side by side on the exit. But unfortunately, just like in PSGL, I get shoved onto the curb. Everyone keeps doing that to me. And I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't get any traction on the curb. So Julian stays ahead for now. He goes quite aggressively into turn 1, covering around the outside. But that does mean he's going to get a pretty poor run out of there. And I'm in a good position here to hopefully strike and get by. Though, to be fair, you can see Julian absolutely draining his DRS and, ERS up the hill. We do get a good run though, and I'm going to challenge here. I'm going to drain my battery. DRS wide open here. You can see we're going to get a really nice run, but now my engine's starting to overheat at this point. We're going to go to the outside into Les Combes. We're going to go the long way around here, but again, just trying to keep the space. We have contact. I get pushed into the apex and I have to back off. Otherwise, we're both going to go for a spin there. I had to back off. You can see I'm getting a bit frustrated because, again, similar to PSGL the other day, I just feel like sometimes I don't get enough space. You know, if I don't lift off and get out the corner there, even though I was alongside, if I don't get out the corner, we're both going for a spin because there was not enough room on the apex for me to get by there. So, yeah, again, just being a bit more mature in my racing, trying to be a bit more patient. But here we go, lap 7 now. And you can see Iker Baena, he knows the rain is coming and he's trying to put a bit of pressure on here. So inadvertently, I'm trying to push on and try and catch Julian. But then I believe there was contact at the bus stop there. I felt nothing in my force feedback, but Baena goes for a spin. I think he tried to go up the inside of the bus stop there. And realistically, it was never going to happen. He wasn't even, you know, alongside me or anything. He just kind of went for a bit of a ridiculous lunge and he ended up half spinning. So bit of a, let's say, an immature overtake, I think, in many ways. No one really overtakes there. And he's going to drop off now, and that means Martin Stefanko is going to overtake him. Meanwhile, now lap 8, Julian out of energy. I'm going to try and get past here, drain the battery, but you can see I just lack a bit of straight line speed, again, because my engine is fried. But luckily, Julian makes a bit of an error here, and that's going to open the door for me to try and have a bit of a look as we head through Les Combes and Malmedy, getting the exit absolutely perfectly here. We're going to try and challenge here to the outside of turn 8. Julian, though, on the brakes quite late, and he keeps me behind for a bit longer. So good defensive driving from him, albeit, like I said before, a bit aggressive through Les Combes. It's all fair, and I wasn't fully forced off the track. And now lap number 8, we are pretty much on the cusp of rain. Sven Knoller is in the pit lane, so we're now up to P10, and you can see now the rain is just starting to come down. I believe you see the first little droplets. It's hard to tell on my preview window, but now lap 9 you can see the rain is starting to fall. Julian out of energy, and at this stage now, those people who started on softs are really starting to struggle. You can see they're all going to go into the pit lane because otherwise they're going to have a puncture, and this was it. This is my golden opportunity now. So you can see here, right across the start-finish line, we get the radio message saying it's time to switch to inters. So the timing on this was absolutely terrible. It couldn't have happened at a worse time. You know, when you get the message from Jeff saying it's time for inters, you pit. And we got it just as we left the bus stop. So unfortunately, we're going to be in trouble here. But luckily, at the same time, there's no DRS for Julian. He knows it's game over. I've got a nice low engine temperature, and look at the difference this time. With the straight line speed, my engine is perfectly, you know, under control of engine temperatures, and we breeze past and get ahead of Julian Naumann and into the race lead in the F1 Esports Challenger Series. But now, it's all about surviving the in-lap, and at this stage, the track started to turn very quickly, and the grip was starting to vanish, and we just about managed to nurse the car back to the pits. You can see the amount of understeer we have. There is literally zero grip. Julian stays out for some reason. I'm not sure why. I think he made a mistake, but he will get disqualified for not using two different compounds. But we're going to box. We're going to go for the intermediates, and it's going to be a one-lap stint to the finish. So we'll try our best. It's very similar to Alonso in the 2008 Belgian Grand Prix, where he done the final lap on intermediates, and we're going to absolutely send it. To be fair, to say we didn't benefit, you know, the second half of the lap of the previous one wasn't great in terms of track conditions. We actually did benefit by staying out because the pit lane was empty, so we didn't get held. And you can see here, we're going to rejoin in P9, so we are now in the points, and that's worked out beautifully for us. And you know, the fact we went from the mediums straight to the inters was a big plus for us. And I can tell you, we've got a couple of cars up ahead who have stayed out and are going to try and get to the end on dry tyres. I believe Alessio Di Capua, Sven Knoller are staying out on dry, so we could gain a few more places here. So we're going to stay on board for the whole final lap here and see how it goes. So straight away, of course, I've done my stop now, and I've got a bit of fuel, a bit of ERS to use, and at this stage I'm just trying to get used to these conditions. I was pretty quick in the rain in qualifying in PSGL, and you can see here, there is Sven Knoller. He is struggling on his medium tyres now, of course, as you'd expect, and we need to try and get past it. We get held a little bit through turn 9, but we're going to just cut underneath and make the move. So we're now P8 in this race, and we're going to push on because Alessio Di Capua, as I was informed by my engineer, Florian Knapik, or Knapik, should I say, he told me about this, and you can see him just in the distance here. You'll see him struggling as we close up to the Haas driver, and I believe championship leader, and they've got CRG Atakalpanen behind him, and Vallejo as well. And we're going to use Alessio here as a way to get through. So you can see here, he gets a bit of contact. He understands one. We slide underneath, cut, and get them both. And we're now up to P6 here, heading onto the back straight. And at this point, I'm going to drain all of my battery and my fuel and give it absolutely everything to try and get to the bus stop. But to my surprise, Vallejo had an extremely high amount of ERS here. I run out, I've pretty much peaked in terms of ERS consumption, and then to my surprise, out of nowhere, I broke super late. Vallejo comes in with the absolute send, and
What the fuck?
I wasn't happy about this, I've got to be honest. We exit the final corner, we lose out, and we are going to finish P7, which is good points. My first points in the F1 Esports Challenger Series, but I'm going to be fair and not be too hot under the collar, in the sense that because I've joined the championship late, I joined in round 5, I'm already a long way behind in the championship. If this was, you know, the start of the season, I joined round 1 and I'm in the mix for top 6 and actually qualifying for the Pro Draft, I would have probably reported that. But to be fair, at the same time, there's not much they can do because he kept it on track. He didn't, you know, run off track limits. He kept it within the white lines. It was just a very aggressive move. And between that and, you know, the one Julian did earlier on in terms of defensive driving, those two incidents kind of pissed me off a little bit. But nonetheless, that's kind of how esports racing is. You've got to be a bit more rough and get the elbows out a lot more, and that's something that I need to get used to. But nonetheless, guys, you can see on screen the race results. Nicolas Madeo picks up the win ahead of Ben Zabo Konyi. Aidu finishes P3 ahead of Patrick Sipos. Atakalpanen P5. Ruben Vallejo P6. We finished P7, and that's our first points of the season ahead of Alessio Di Capua, Norbert Jakob, and Iker Baena. So there's the top 10. I'll show you guys the standings in a future video, hopefully. I believe I'm racing in the final 4 races as well, so fingers crossed I can do better in those. But guys, that's going to be it from me here today for this video with the F1 Esports Challengers Series. If you enjoyed it, then slap a like on it, subscribe for more, and check out the 2 videos on screen as well. And thank you as always to the members of the channel, and I'll see you guys next time for another video. But until then, take care, and it's goodbye from me.